So we are 48 hours from the official start of our first intake of Endgame in about 6 months. It's been 6 months because I have been tinkering with the entire process. When we originally put Endgame together at the start of last year, the first intake was almost this day exactly last year. The goal was that we would do an intake every quarter. And me, the nature of me being myself, did not do it every quarter because I was continuing to tinker with things and got so caught up in the building of it that forgot I need to actually get people to come into it. The last one we did was in November. Then we got into the start of the year and we reflected on last year's sort of 8-week introduction of the program. So we reran that and branded it as Level 0. So we did that January, and that led us up to, it finished up 2 weeks ago. So we've had a 2-week period of transitioning those from Level 0 into Endgame and then onboarding a number of people that are going to start with us fresh on Monday. Running the business and setting these timelines and deadlines puts you under a lot of pressure, and then you have the realization of like, oh, I set these myself. So there's a bit of freedom in that you can obviously change them, but that comes at a cost of remembering that you actually still need to do the thing and not just continuing to delay it to perfect the thing. It probably doesn't actually really need that much changing, but in nature, again, of me being me, just continues to change things and reiterate. My biggest learning from last year is to focus more on the people and the process. So yeah, I can sit and fucking refine the process and rebuild videos and change the check-in sheet and fucking look at everything else, whereas my time is best spent actually just communicating with the people, whether that's in the Discord, privately, on calls, like actually really being embedded in their lives and knowing what's going on with them day to day, because that then allows me and the rest of the coaching team to tailor it more towards them and be more on top of what it is that they actually need. I guess I've been reminded recently, going through the catch-up calls and just talking to people, that somewhat ironically, as a person that says they don't like people, actually really enjoys talking to the people, like catching up, seeing what's going on, having cool conversations with cool people across the world and getting an idea as to what goes on in their day-to-day life and where we can fit this into it and how that looks for them so that they can have the best experience possible. So everybody moving into Endgame or starting at Endgame is getting an onboarding call, and what that allows me to do is actually spend some time talking through the logistics of what happens day to day, week to week, and mapping out what the next year looks like for them. So what's the end goal of Endgame for them in 12 months time, and working backwards, and what that needs to look like in terms of phases, things that we need to take into consideration, whether it's work, travel, conferences, vacation, and potential shit shows or roadblocks that are going to get in the way, and getting a bit more of an understanding as to, if they've tried something like this in the past, where did it fall apart and how can we make sure it doesn't fall apart this time? The whole thing, yes, is built on an outcome. Like, there is a desired outcome from them, but what I get them to focus on is the process for them. So how they can really install the behaviors and habits that they need to be successful in the next year and many years beyond that. We are working from the house today because the painter had to come and fill the holes in the wall. My thought was that we would end up in the gym, but we haven't. We're here in the house. I don't know how to fix a hole in the wall. The reason that I didn't fix the hole in the wall is because they said they would. Granted, the time that was taken today, the guy told me he has to come back 3 times. I'm like, okay, fair enough. Do you just like being here? What's the story? But it would have taken me infinitely longer to work it out, and I would have just put it off because I would have had to go and get the stuff and work out how to do it, and it just never would have got done. Whereas I just sent a list of things that needed fixed, and the guy has started to fix them. The sofa's in the fucking middle of the living room. I don't know if I'm keeping it like that or what the story is, but yeah, in terms of like spending time, it's not an optimal spend of my time trying to fix a fucking hole in the wall. Yeah, so I've got 3 calls. 1 guy that is moving from Level 0 into Endgame, and 2 brand new fresh faces. So I have everything set up for them, and I'm going to map out everything on their check-in sheet and make sure they have everything that they need to get started on Monday. So a couple of calls to get through and a lot more tomorrow, and then I have a weekend of making sure everything is good to go, and we are ready. Yeah, first ball was good. So Perry joined level 0. He has a couple of trips coming up, so we're just working out how we're going to navigate them. First one should be pretty manageable. He has everything set in place. He knows that he's going to a hotel that has a gym, and he's pretty clued in terms of his food and what the expectations are around that. The people there, he says, similar sort of mindset, so everybody will be on the same sort of page. The next one at the end of April is going to be a little bit more difficult because he's going to be on the road, so we'll just deal with that as the time comes. But for me, the biggest thing whenever it comes to travel is just managing expectations, understanding that you'll not be able to do everything at the same level that you do it whenever you're at home or in your normal setting. So it's just being realistic about what is achievable, and the main thing is actually just maintaining the habit of intention around doing the stuff. Going from working on the gym floor and living like the same day, essentially day in, day out, and everything being predictable and happening at the same time, to them working online and essentially traveling the world to go and see clients and whatever else needed done. There were things that needed to change. I worked out that what travel was like and how I had to manage it and adapt. And my observation is like, you can still maintain the habits of like being intentional with your food, knowing what you need to do in terms of hitting targets. You can still go for a walk, you can still do cardio, you can still do some level of training, and it's just understanding that it won't be exactly the same, but you can still do something, and something's better than nothing. It gave me an insight to what it was actually like to travel and overcome all of the difficulties that came along with that, the challenges, I guess. But also showed me that it still can be done. You just need to like plan ahead of time instead of like, oh yeah, I've got a week away here, and turning up and be like, oh fuck, I don't know anything about this place. It's just like planning, understanding what you can and what you can't do, where the limitations are going to be, and what you'll do to overcome them.